That's the first thing.
Okay, yeah. I've been waiting for that.
Big reveal.
Yeah.
All right, everyone. I'd like to call this meeting of the Public Works and Safety Committee to order. First item on the agenda, approval of the minutes. Do I hear a motion to approve? Okay, motion by Clint.
Second.
Okay, second by Keith. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Next, we have a report from Keith Gillum on the flag.
Yes.
That's still nice.
Go hot then. Yeah. So, alright. Okay, this is a process we started about 6 months ago. So, we're gonna have a little PowerPoint about where we're at. We have recommended a flag the committee has. And, the committee members, only ones here tonight, is Warren Coon, well, myself, Trevor, and, Warren Coon. The rest of them, Sarah McLean, Russell Burton, Kathy Llewellyn, and Diane Roberts are not present. But I want to thank all of you guys. I want to thank the committee for putting a lot of hard work in and helping out. This was a lot harder process than I thought it would be. So I want to show you a little PowerPoint for how we got where we're going to get. Saline County flag design contest was launched July 30th. It's almost a year, one more year now. So September 26th, we put it out to all high school students in Saline County from 10th to 12th grade. And they had to reside in Saline County. They could be homeschooled, they could be private school, or any of the public schools. So we could only have one design per student. And we only got, I believe it was 5 on the initial run, which we didn't feel like it was enough. So we opened it up October 3rd to the public, 15 years old and up, which you have to be a resident of Saline County to apply. And then we got an extra 9, so we ended up with about 15 different flags. We went 2 to 3 colors. Keep it simple. We went by the North American Vexillological Association's recommendations to make a flag. And we wanted it to be simple, no lettering or no seals. And we got out of the ones that we got though. So hands for. Yeah.
He's new is.
All right, there we go. Okay, Abby Story, she's here tonight. Could you stand up there? Just be recognized. She did a really good job. The committee decided, that was actually our first entry, but we wanted more entries. But we liked the flag, except we did change, the color is maroon. So we didn't want to go with, that was really bent. So it would have maybe kind of, a little bit countywide. And I know she's a Benton high school student, and I can understand her putting that in there. And the stars represented the 7 cities plus Hot Springs Village. Now, one thing we like is you see the clock that says 6:35, and she came up with this idea, and I thought it was a very good idea here. 1835 was 24-hour time, which is when Saline County was established. So I thought, I'd have never thought of that. So we really liked that being catchy. And we liked it was a very good design. And I believe she wanted something else here in Saline County. I saw in the Courier, I don't remember what it was. And and then we had another flag invite from Ryan Finaya. He's not here tonight, he couldn't be here. And we liked that, but we wanted to use her courthouse, but we liked his design, we liked the stars, the way the stars were. So this is what the different flags we came up with, and I'll tell you which one that the committee recommended. We all went to 7 stars. Can you go to the next slide? Yeah. We went to 7 stars because we wanted to keep it with the incorporated cities. Because if we felt we got off in like communities, there's a lot of communities, and so that would be kind of complicated, but we kept it to the cities. So we recommended that we keep 7 stars. Now, 2 people on the committee wanted this, which was just a little different, just a different color scheme. But go to C, and then that's for the 8 stars. C right there, that's the one we're recommending, right there. That the committee unanimously, well, not unanimously, so, 2 people didn't vote for it, so. 5, we had 5 on that. So that's the one we wanna go with, and we wanna go with the 7 stars. So, I'm open for questions or comments, or.
What's really good?
What if you had another, just a question,
Yeah, go ahead.
what if you had another, like, town incorporated?
I thought, you mean in the future?
Yeah, yeah. Or you had a town unincorporated,
Glad you take that.
it's happening.
Well, I guess we could remove a star or add a star, like the United States would have to do if we got another state, I guess. That's the only answer I got.
Yeah. Well, good, thanks.
Got a picture of what it looked like if you incorporated another city.
Yeah.
The next slide.
Yeah, the other slide has the anchor, that's 8. And if you had 9, you could bring the 1 star up to the top and then just have the 4 on each side off. I mean, you could do it, it just, you know,
Is option D the one with Hot Springs Village in it?
D, yes.
Okay, thank you. I'm partial.
I understand. But we were
colors, do
looking-
the colors stand premium?
Excuse me?
Do the colors, are they?
Well, we're trying to stay with the, these colors here, we're staying with the logo, the county logo. Which, I believe we looked up, the county logo was the colors meant, whereas the green was, like agriculture, growth. The blue was the Saline River water, you know, it's a big item in the county. And then the orange, which I never knew before, it was called clay orange, I call it just orange. But, you know, we have a history of pottery in this county.
Yeah.
And so it was that, and it also represents, I think, the representations like justice. So, but mainly it was to stay with the Saline County logo.
Well, so I think that is so cool about the 635. The creativity there is just unrivaled right there. And the 7 stars makes more sense to me because, you know, you got the cities, because if you want to be, I guess, literal with it, if we did everybody, we might have like 13 stars, which I wouldn't say. it'd be
About 15.
Maybe 15.
Yeah, because you got, you know, Avila,
East
Salem, Perrin,
Yeah.
East End, I mean, a few.
But
And then which one is which represent?
exactly, and you know, I always love the flag idea. I think it's great that our community got to be involved with the flag and get their creativity, and I like the colors, and so, yeah, I like option C as well.
Can we go back up a couple, up, that one, I really like that one.
Really?
Yeah, I just like the profile of the tower in that one. Might want to change it to 635.
Change the time.
Yeah.
So, first off, I would just like to applaud and thank you, Addie, for your submissions, and I think it's very clever and very well done, so thank you for participating, and very nice work. Keith, I think my question is, I don't know, I'm sorry,
You got a hot.
yeah, I got a hot. My question is, I don't know if we're looking to, maybe we are looking for a decision, but moving forward with anything right this second. Or if we do, I guess, what is the next step? What are we expecting out of that decision if we were to choose something right tonight?
I mean, that's kind of why, you know, y'all said ahead of time, to just kind of look at it and see if you like it. I was wanting to get something tonight so we could vote on the next regular meeting in 2 weeks. And then if we were to agree on establishing a flag, and this, whichever one be the flag, then we're gonna have to come, or I mean, it's probably gonna have to be raised, you know, it's probably gonna be around $10,000. The reason why is because we got to put 2 poles up front. Because we were gonna put the Space Force flag and that to offset, you know. And since it's not there, it is on our forces. So that was the bulk of the expense. And then put the flags in various, like 3x5 flags in various locations where we're Arkansas with this flag. And, it's probably around, you know, $10,000 to $15,000. That's the whole thing. It doesn't have to all be done. But since we were kind of low budgeted this year, we were gonna try to raise some money from the beginning, possibly. But I don't really see a reason of presenting something to somebody to raise money when you don't have anything to show. But just establish, you know, say, okay, we've agreed on this flag, and, you know, have a resolution that the county flag. And then I'm sure we can work out the rest of it.
Yes. Keith, tell me again why you, I mean, I understand you're talking about, yeah, like Perrin and all the other communities, but why would you drop Hot Springs Village altogether?
It's not a corporate city.
Okay. Just like they're all over this.
Right, I mean, you know, the rest of Traskwood, okay, they represent, you know, Ben Bryant, Byside,
Haskell.
which I don't know, it's actually a town, but it's a city. Traskwood, Haskell, Shannon Hills, and Alexander. And Alexander partially, and she'll ask the council correct, but still it's in. But Hot Springs Village is partially, there's a lot of communities that are partially, another county, East Ends, Saline County, part of, I think, over the grant. So, but the main thing was we keep it simple from anybody saying, well, why in our community? Or whatever. There's a purpose.
Right.
Incorporated city.
My only thing would be, and I'm not saying that I'm against the 7 stars, but the communities that, like Perrin, use them for example, that are left out, you know, they are in Saline County. That would be my only, I mean, it's not that, it wouldn't be that hard to really add 4 or 5 more stars. And I know what you're saying, and what you're.
Yeah, which ones, you get into townships,
Right.
you have townships in this county, you have, that are, people wouldn't even recognize if you name them. You know,
Right.
Beaver, Kentucky, you know.
Shaw.
Tell people
I
that.
live in Shaw.
They don't even know it exists. But, I mean, you know, about
Yeah.
I mean, we did go back and forth whether we wanted to put more stars, 15 stars or something. But deciding on who they represent is kind of vague. You know, it's kind of like the US flag, you have 50 states, and you have 50 stars. Well, you could put Puerto Rico, their territories, you know, you put Puerto Rico, Northern Mariana Islands, and everything else, and you'd have, you know, 56 stars or so, but that's not the way we do it. We just decided on that, if there's,
Right.
you know,
Right.
if anybody wants more, we
Yeah.
can talk about
Right.
it.
This is more of a report, and maybe you are expecting action, but I would say from my seat, I don't think I'm ready to choose or take a vote on this, especially because there will be money tied to it, whether it's county money or private money, and I get why you want the choice first, but, well, I appreciate you sending it out beforehand, and I think maybe some more discussion, that's one point of that would be fine.
Mr. Chairman, Justice Kelly, if you would please on our behalf, on my behalf at least, tell everyone on the committee that we really appreciate their efforts. And I think, they all look great. And just, I know it's been a lot of work, and but just thank you for your efforts. Thank you, committee.
I'd like, Mr. Chair, if we could, ask, the county judge is responsible for all county property. I'd like to get his opinion on what he thinks, because you'd be the one maintaining the flagpole, the flag, or any way it's used in the future.
Yeah, Judge.
You've never been one to shy away from the microphone.
First off, I'm about the worst with names of anybody in me ever. Your last name's Story. First, Addie. Thank you. We need more people like you that get involved and get engaged. And good for you for putting Maroon up there. I'd be worried about that. If you had not.
That's right.
Justice Curtis, to answer your question, I'm seeing this for the first time as you all did. I'll tell you, I didn't attend any committee meetings. I was extremely adamant that I would use my executive power not to fly anything that didn't have the county colors on it. I think that it's a good representation. I think it's got the county colors. I would be extremely hard pressed to go. I think you said 15,000 in total. I think I said that from the beginning. As far as prioritizing things, if it came out of county general or otherwise, I would be opposed to doing it at this time. But I think it's a great product and exercise.
Yes. And this is just a side note, but quite coincidentally, I think, that many times, whenever the molecular structure of the molecule saline is represented, its representative colors are very close to that.
I know which
You do.
Any further discussion right now?
just where you guys want to do it. Just have it, talk about it again next month.
I mean, this is the first time the public's seeing this, right? So maybe allow some public to comment and then bring it back up in court or next committee meeting, whenever you want to.
Just kind of ponder on it, think on it.
Pat,
Yes.
go down. I would like to just say, I would like to see us get the money, figure out how we're gonna fund this first, before we proceed on. So, that would be my concern right now. I think the designs are great, the colors, I'm all for that, so.
Yeah, I just felt that, we can do that. I just thought it would be easier to present to someone if you're looking at something, like, I don't know that I would have done anybody do something I don't really want to do. Most likely, you could have done it for money and then you don't like it at all,
Okay, well, let's move on to our next agenda item, which is Exhibit A, ordinance to expand membership of the Board of Equalization.
Do we have anybody that's going to present on this tonight?
Okay, you're recognized. You'll state your name.
Hey, right. Yes, sir. I debated on whether to do this or not. I had mixed feelings about it, but I feel like if I do, and it passes, great. If I don't, and we have a lot of notices come out this summer, and it's a train wreck, I tried. So but hopefully that'll happen. Asking to increase our EQ from 5 members to 9. 2 other counties now, that's Pulaski and Benton County. I spoke with their appraisal managers today. What they normally do, they can split their, if they have a lot of appointments, they can split it up into groups, so it gives the board members more flexibility for their scheduling. It really doesn't affect our office, it doesn't affect us, we have to do it anyway. Like, right now, the project we have 3 retirees, a full-time real estate agent, and a CFO at one of the credit unions. So 2 work full-time and 3 are retirees. This year's reappraisal year is the final year of the 4-year cycle. But this reappraisal cycle has been a little different, or has the potential to be a little bit different. You know how the market's been the last 4 years. We've had 158 new subs this 4 years. We already have 38 for this year, for 27. And it's just March.
That's subdivisions, right?
Subdivisions, all these lots, and all these houses. And with the buckets coming in and that expansion out there, and like I said, it really won't affect me. I'm just trying to be proactive on it. We have a new assessor coming in, that's new to the entire process. You know, and I have numbers. We have the population increase, plenty population. It exceeds 79,000, and we've surpassed that altogether. Even though another story, different side note, I don't agree with the numbers we have, because I did the last census with the help of Edge, and they didn't accept lower numbers, they took a substantially lower number. And so they didn't have time to verify all the addresses. So, different story. So, anyway, I'm just hoping to possibly make it easier on the people that basically volunteer their time here. They do get paid $125 for each meeting day. Where they have 1 appointment or 5 appointments, they get paid the same. However, those can be scheduled the day before, so they're basically on call from August until October. If we send out 2,000 notices, 60,000 notices, the potential for a lot of meetings is there. I hope that doesn't happen. Ideally, for me, it would be great if we had 0 this year. But you know, that's probably not going to happen. Two of my appraisals are here. If you have any questions about that, the bad part is we have to have so many readings before this can happen, but we don't and won't know how many notices we're sending out until 30 to 45 days before the appointment starts, because of the updates and everything in the system. So, you know, we're kind of in a crunch there. Do you take the chance or do you not take the chance? Money-wise, budget-wise, I did ask for an increase in our EQ budget from $8,500 to $20,000. It's been approved, so the money's there, which is basically, you know, the majority is funded by the schools. Worst case, if we don't use the money, it just goes back to county general. And they don't, I mean, they only get paid for the days they're here. Pulaski, well, and Benton County, but Pulaski, especially if they do have a lot of appointments, they can split that out into groups, group. And then, you know, some people can do the morning, some the afternoon, or they can do those and then have one meeting to go over everything for the quorum to approve their decisions or disapprove their decisions. But, and you know, he was saying how it helped with burnout. And I mean, if we have a lot of appointments, it's hard to expect someone to be there every single day. If we send out a notice saying to them that they have an appointment on Thursday, but then that afternoon we get a call for an appointment, they want one the next day, you're really kind of basically on call. So really, this is for those people that are willing to spend their time to do this, to come in at you know, sometimes less than 24 hours notice. You know, they get paid, but I kind of compare this with like a school board position. It's kind of a thankless job, but it requires a lot of time. And I have all kinds of numbers I could go over, but that's basically it. It's for their benefit. We have to be there regardless. And if we knew how many notices we were going to send out, even if we did, you still don't know how many people are going to open it, make a phone call, or they're going to wait until spring of 27 when I'm not here, and someone else gets to hear them complain about the bill.
Josh had a question.
I got several questions on this one. So you mentioned there's only 2 other counties that have 9 members.
Right.
Right now you have 5. You have a hard time getting a quorum of people to show up for your meetings.
No, but I was talking to Steve Brown, could be here tonight, he's a little busy. Yeah, he said like with his full-time job, if we get a lot of appointments, that's what I worry about having a quorum during this time, because we've never had this type of reappraisal scenario. With the market, and the growth, our abstracts have increased every year. This past year we had a 4% increase, which doesn't sound like a lot to most people, but the average is 2. So we had 4, and that's without levies, without all that development, out that direction. So it's more of a plan ahead than it is for this year. If we have those this year, we'll get through it. But if we have a lot of appointments, I think it would be hard to find people.
So
3
you needed
retirees, 2
3
full-time jobs.
You needed 3 for a quorum of 5 members.
Right.
You need 5 for a quorum of 9.
Or, like lastly, they can split it into groups and have one meeting to go over to approve their decisions.
Was there a county that went to 9, but then, well, I'll just say it, Sebastian County, I researched.
Yeah.
Sebastian County or similar size county, they had some growth.
Yeah.
Similar size county, class 6 county, they did go to 9, and they went back to 5.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know why they did that?
No, but I figure each situation is unique. Our growth has been steady. And I don't see it slowing down anytime soon. You know, if it slowed down later, you could always go back to 5. That's the thing. You don't have to keep it there. If it doesn't work, you can always put it back.
Keep the members off the board.
Absolutely. Well, actually, their terms expire to keep them off.
So they
You
have
just not
3 years.
replace them.
3-year terms, right? And they all have to be trained, correct?
Yes.
Once every 3 years, one time during the
One
training.
time, yes.
Does that have a cost to it, training?
No, the ACD puts the training on, and so there's no cost to the county for that, so. It's time.
I think that's all the
It's just,
questions I
I
have.
mean, we'll be fine. We can get through it. I just kind of be proactive for those members.
Jimmy had a question.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you. You said that they were paid by the meeting. How many paid meetings did they have last year?
They didn't have a lot, but it went every appraisal year. This is where we come into the unknown. In 26 years, I've never seen a cycle like this. So there's really no way to know. It's just a gamble. And so I put the money in the budget, EQ budget for this just in case. So the money is there, just in case. If we don't go to 9, it goes back to county general, because we can't use it for anything else. If we do the 9, and we don't have enough appointments, it still goes back to county general. So, and the majority comes from the schools in the first place, so, we don't really lose any money at this point, but it's hard to say. I better say I tried. If it goes south and put it on you guys, then for something to go on and say, if you thought this, why did you not bring it up?
Mr. Chair, if I could. So, one thing I just wanted to kind of put out there, as I was talking to Assessor Wright about this before putting ordinance responsible for the committee, was, one of the concerns I did have is we do have 5 members now.
Right.
The 3 would, just for, you have 3 member quorum, we would be going to now 5-member quorum with which still seems as even number versus difficult to reach. But one concern I do have is, we know how hard it is to get people to serve on the boards anyways.
Yes.
So if it's already tough to have 5 people, I'm concerned about what appointing 9 members to the board would look like.
It's not
Whether or not
tough.
that's very big.
Well, it's not tough getting a quorum of 5 people, it just depends, because the meetings have been low volume. If we have a high volume, that might be trouble, because you're asking them every single day, and when they may have things to do, or, you know, and if last who does that is listening to groups of 3, and then has one meeting to confirm theirs, because for them to burn out and give them time for their appointments or their jobs. Because students have full-time jobs, and if they have to be here 5 days a week, you know, I'm afraid to quit, to be honest.
Well, forgive the ignorance, but is there not a way to split those meetings out where maybe you're not meeting every day, because your appointments are
Well,
once or twice a week, you just do more during that day?
yeah, it depends on the number of appointments made, that's the number that you don't know. And
So
that's,
it's all based on an unknown at this point, it's just hard to make a decision on.
yeah, because you don't know who's gonna open a mail, read the notice, and make a phone call, or who's gonna, where it says, this is not a tax bill, or they can throw it in trash, and then be curious the following March with your tax bill. Because there's time to, you see what I mean, it's a really tricky spot. I was crossing it off on this, and moving on to you guys.
Is this a judge appointed position if we had 4 more?
There would be one court, the cities, the school, and the judge.
Okay.
One from each of those.
Okay, and then my next question is, you said you had the money in the budget for this year. How many meetings did you budget?
We just went, the number we used 8,500 the last few times. But like I said, it's the first 3 years, so nobody really sees a major increase. So there's anything that's not going to full value at this point, will this year, when we do the rest of it.
So what was the increase in the budget? Was it 8,500 as is, or?
No, we're at 20,000.
20,000, okay.
Yes, sir. And like I said, it's just, for just in case, if we do this, if we don't, because any kind of in front of schools.
And you talking about your appointments, those are appeals, right?
Excuse me?
Appeals, right?
Yes, yes.
Tax bill.
And the appraisals are here, if you have any questions on that part of it, they'll be glad to answer any of those you might have.
Go ahead.
You said you could break them out in groups, so with 3, there'd be 3-member groups. They would meet on different days and then come back as a body.
Right, they could, if the members needed that way, we could do that. And we could, see which 5 could make it. Because it just gives them a little more flexibility instead of being obligated to every single time. We have one that, does not care for morning appointments. And, with them on the days that have the afternoon appointments, or just get a little bit more flexibility for them. It doesn't affect us at all, we have to be a follow.
So then there would be the 3-person groups would get paid for that and get paid for another full body meeting.
Well, or they could be there, we could schedule some in the morning, some in the afternoon, and they could meet on those. Knock out what they had done the previous day on those days, if they're already there, and not make an additional day. I know that sounds crazy, it just gives you a little scheduling kind of time.
I'm sorry. Do you know any other counties that are trying to make this move right now? I know Washington County is a big county, growing county, Fulton County, Craighead County. You know any of those assessors that are trying to move in this direction?
Chrissy in Faulkner County, she's considering it also, but she has other things going, but, she's talking about it, she did not present this year, and probably the only reason I'm doing it now is because I'm out in just 3 or 4 days. So, when somebody else comes in, it's new, I'm just trying to do this. 303.5. So, it really is, it doesn't benefit me, it's just, I'm just trying to, it's on the list, the last few days to do, just in case. But I understand whatever you decide to do, just thought I'd put that out there for them, because there's no way to know how this session will go. I wish we did.
Thanks, Chairman again.
Yes.
So one thing about this that I kind of thought as we were talking is that maybe this would make it easier on the public, for our citizens to have more availability to come in and meet and not be dictated to come in on our schedule instead of theirs. And so that was one thought, and I wanted to get your opinion. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely, absolutely. Because if you have, the more people you have that are able to meet on different days, it gives you a chance to, you know, and if I were serving on the board, and I had options saying, can you do your all day this day, and all day the third day, and someone else come in the second day, I wouldn't want to do every day, all day. It's a lot. And you never know how long the meetings will last. You don't know if you're gonna go smooth, if you're gonna get yelled at, if you're gonna get, and so, you know, the burnout I can see level. I mean, pretty quick. But then you may have 2 meetings, you may only have 2 appeals. Then your money goes back, it's on the budget, it just goes back, goes back to
Yes, Karen?
Well, first of all, I'd like to say that I know personally our assessor cares so much about this, and I can see it on her face that this was a plan that she had to really protect the future, you know, because she's not going to be here next year. And this is something that I think, and I do think because this year with all of the property increases that we've seen in the values, that it's going to be a task that I think, I can't even imagine that we've just had 5 people doing this, so, do we need a motion at this time?
Yes, we do.
I move that we approve the increase from 5 to 9 with the equalization board.
Okay, do I hear a second?
I'll second.
All right. We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I think we have some public comment.
Yes, so we have one person signed up for public comment, Keith Keck.
Keith Keck, 50 Largo Drive, Hot Springs Village, Saline County resident, former Board of Equalization member. I sat through Board of Equalization, I was on the Board of Equalization from 2016 to 2018 before I joined the court. The one challenge I would say that expanding to 9 is finding the right people for the right situations. And I say this as we always try to keep a Hot Springs Village person on the Board of Equalization, because sometimes our valuation is a little different than the rest of the county. So as you go, if you consider going to 9, I would recommend that you identify some more positions out there. You know, the judge has, you have a Board of Education person there, the cities, you have a realtor. You need to look at across the county and where else. Do we need someone always from the east side of the county? I think that's a growing area too, especially with the new subdivisions. You may need identifying, so it puts the onus on whether it's the JP in that district to get someone who can represent the proper valuations, because if you don't, it's going to be a challenge for the assessor and especially for the appraisers out there. But that's my 2 cents. You're going to expand it to 9, add some more specifics of who you want and qualifications. Because I found that it was good having a mix of having the realtor sitting there, having a banker sit there. We had the villagers, we had people from the school districts, and you can talk about this. That's where you're going to run into problems when you start splitting it up into 3, 3, and 3, getting the right people on the right subject, subcommittee there. So that's it.
Entertaining question, Mr. Keck? So, to be clear, you're not advocating it to go to 9, you're advocating if it does go to 9, you would like to see a Hot Springs Villager
Yes.
in addition.
We have a Hot Springs Villager on there. It's a handshake. It's usually the judge's appointment that we put a villager on. But codified, do we have anything, that the school districts or maybe an East End person from, whatever the districts out there. So you have those people identified. And it forces that JP or that community to find someone who can represent that community. I mean, many a time, if a villager came in, I knew them, and I could go through, and I knew the property out there. That's why we have a villager out there. The same way on the east side of the village, or east side of the county, expertise is someone who lives out there, who drives the roads and knows the difference between Chico Road and some other, how the valuations really are. That's my comment.
Thank you, Mr. Kay. All right, we have a motion and a second on the ordinance. Any further discussion?
Yeah, I know Ms. Wright's come to this in a good place. I don't want to be, there's only 2 counties that are doing this in the state. They're double our size, at least double our size. I think it's hard to get people to serve on boards. It's hard to get good people. It sounds like we've got some good people and we need to replace some positions with another good person. But for that reason, and for us to, it'll cost the county more. I understand school districts put a lot of that bill, but I'll be voting no on this ordinance.
Well, nothing else, so all in favor?
Aye.
And all opposed?
No.
Can I get a roll call vote?
Yes. Pat Bisbee,
Yes.
Wilson Hatcher,
No.
Carlton Billingsley,
No.
Keith Kellum,
Yeah.
Rick Bellinger's absent, Josh Curtis,
No.
Ed Alvarez,
Yes.
CJ Engel,
Yes.
Jim Whitley,
No.
Clint Chisholm,
Yes.
Stephanie Johnson,
Yes.
Karen Crowson.
Yes.
7-4. 4 against.
Okay, we passed. All right, the next item on our agenda is discussion on Exhibit B, animal control ordinance proposal.
Mr. Chairman, I have something I'd like to bring to the committee tonight.
Sure.
I was given some great comments and some additions, and I'll have copies of these I'd like to pass out. These came from Tricia Powers, who is the Bryant Animal Control Director, and the packet was already emailed out on Thursday, so I wanted to bring these suggestions. I'm just gonna hand these out real quick, and ask that we can look at these. There's some edits that were highlighted in yellow, and there's some up in the front podium. If I would like to look at these, I mean, what we need. But, but these are some, I think, some great comments, some edits. Colton has had an opportunity to look at them, and I believe he said as well that you can tell some very thoughtful comments. So I appreciate Tricia taking the time to go through this, and I just wanted to bring this before the committee tonight as we discuss this. As I know, there's been a few changes that were already in our packet from Thursday with the fines and where the money goes and so forth. So I don't know if you want to go through it item by item. Like I said, each one is highlighted in yellow. It's just I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 changes. But I think these are definitely worth adding into the ordinance as we discuss it. Thanks, Sharon. And Tricia Powers is here as well. So if, I'm not an expert in this subject, so if there's questions, she said she would be willing to answer any questions that this committee may have tonight, being that these edits were just presented to you tonight.
Okay. All right, looking through this packet that Carlton handed out. Anybody have anything you'd like to bring up? Karen?
Well, I didn't get a chance to look through it all yet, but I did notice one item on, page B3. At the top, I'm just questioning the reason behind taking out if adoption efforts are unsuccessful. Mm-hmm.
The reason why I suggested that this be removed.
Ma'am, hold on.
Sorry.
You recognize, if you'll state your name for the record, please.
Tricia Power, I'm the Director of Right Animal Control and Adoption Center.
All right, go ahead.
Sorry about that. The reason why I suggested that that be removed from the ordinance is because I feel that it should be left up to the shelter professionals to assess the animal for suitability for adoption. I think that the way this is worded, it mandates that an adoption must be attempted, especially under the section that talks about vicious animals. I don't think that it's appropriate for the ordinance to mandate that we attempt to adopt out vicious animals, and this is as well. We all know that there are some animals that may not be brought to the shelter under the vicious clause, but may turn out to be unsafe to readopt, and so I just think that should be left out and left up to the shelter professionals to decide whether or not that animal is suitable for adoption.
Now, Karen, does that take care of your?
Yeah, so on, yeah, I am. Yeah, I understand where you're coming from. I guess I don't take that to read that they're having to put those efforts out there to do that, but, I can see where it could be construed to do that. I'm okay with it.
Okay, John?
Is this more restrictive or less restrictive than the Bryant City ordinance?
It's less restrictive.
Okay. Yes, sir, CJ?
Yes. So, I think we kind of hit on potentially asking for increased fines, but it looks like you hit that throughout this, throughout ordinances. I just wanted to, I guess, maybe double check with our county attorney, are these fines legal amounts for us to?
Yeah, so based on the committee's feedback last month, I did go ahead and increase the fines. Sounded like there was an appetite for, pretty harsh fines and pretty significant increases. So I went ahead and doubled every fine that I could legally double. You are constricted to $1,000 or less when it comes to fines. So I believe there's one, and I think it applied to the vicious animal section that was already at 1,000, so clearly that one did not go up any. The remainder were increased by double where possible.
Yes, go ahead.
This is about the original. Says that you're required to get the tag, saying the name, address, and rabies vaccination. And that does include people who have their dogs inside a fence always, they're not loose animals, loose dogs. Just wondering, that does include, that says, I assume it does. But so, say they don't, do they get fined when they get caught out and about, or do they just, like you see a dog, and if they see a dog in a fence, and it doesn't have a tag, are they gonna knock on the door and find this person tag?
That's a good question. You want to have an answer for that?
So the definition of stray in this ordinance would be any dog that's at large and does not have a tag containing the information required under section 3C. I think the main idea of the tag is to make sure that we can kind of control these at-large dogs that we don't know who they belong to, you know, so that would help our officers in, you know, finding out, oh, this dog belongs to this house, maybe I can go get the owner to take it back in.
I just want to verify that they're not going to go around looking for dogs in people's fences that don't have the tags, and, you know, because it's kind of, they could.
I think that's good feedback, and it's something that I can build into this ordinance for sure. That's what they want.
Mr. Chairman? Yes. I would like to just maybe cut to the chase a little bit. And this is a very large ordinance. It covers many subjects. Kind of think of it as the omnibus for dogs. You know, but really, what brought all this to bear, what brought all of this, this entire ordinance up was our problem. And our problem, we don't have a problem with rabies in Saline County. We have a problem with a lot of these different subjects that are covered in this ordinance. I think a lot of the ordinance is good. There's a lot of it that I cannot agree with or vote. So I think that each individual section needs to be reviewed very carefully, independently upon its own merits. Because the reason that we're sitting here talking about this tonight is we have irresponsible owners of vicious animals. And we wouldn't be here talking about this if that wasn't the crux of the problem. I think my own opinion is that we need to punish these people heavily. We need to euthanize the animals that are vicious toward humans and other animals or livestock, and punish the owners of them heavily. And otherwise, we really don't have a problem other than vicious animals, irresponsible owners of vicious animals. And you can have big breeds of dogs that are not vicious and at large, and they pose no, they pose no threat to our citizens. And you have small breeds of dogs that are at large that pose no threat to our citizens. I know that, the argument is that we'll just let law enforcement decide, what's vicious, what isn't, what's threat, what's not. Well, it's not really law enforcement's job to legislate. It's law enforcement's job to enforce the laws that are legislated. And this is just a huge, very restrictive ordinance.
Yeah, and piggyback off that, Mr. Ridley, section 3, there, the no owner of any dog may allow a dog to run at large, intentionally or unintentionally within the unincorporated areas of Saline County. This right here, that's one piece of the puzzle, but then you go over to section 4, I believe, and it talks about exceptions to restraint and control regulations, and it has all these qualifications here. Who determines that? Who actually decides that? I think that's going to your point where I know it gives some discretion to the sheriff's office or law enforcement, but who's going to make that call? I think of vicious dogs, specifically vicious dogs. I think everybody knows kind of what a vicious dog is. So that right there, it's a dog, it's a hunting dog that gets out, is hunting and doesn't have a tag on it or whatever. I mean, they could take that dog in, and that's all within the discretion of the sheriff's office. Now, I trust our sheriff's office right now. I think they do a great job. But who's to say the next sheriff's going to have the restraint to put this into action and to not abuse this ordinance?
Yep. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Also, as many different subjects are covered in this ordinance, I mean, we have a problem even addressing the issue right now with the manpower to just even go out and talk to the people with vicious dogs. I understand they don't have the authority that they need to make arrests and to apprehend the dogs and all these things. We need to add that, but do we really have the men to enforce all of these different, to me, we would have to add a complete different division to the sheriff's department to be able to enforce all of these sections of the ordinance.
Anybody else have anything? Yeah, go ahead, Carl.
I appreciate the fact of how many people have spent time reviewing this and putting it together, and I know we looked at this in February and had 30 days to get public input. I'm ready to move to the committee for April, and we don't have to pass necessarily, I hope we don't pass this in any quick way, but this will allow us to continue the discussion and start dissecting the sections that the form board, that the body would feel may be apprehensive. But I think we have to continue moving forward with something, and so I'm in favor of moving this to the committee for April. To see about putting it on the vote for the April 24th meeting for the first reading. And with revisions still being able to be made with public input and constituents. That's my suggestion on that.
We will definitely have it on our agenda for next month. So, we can, all look over it some more, discuss each individual section, as you pointed out, Jim. See, maybe there's parts of it we don't really need. So, go ahead, CJ.
Yeah, I think, and you guys have hit on some of the same concerns that I had the first one that came out, and as I've read through it over the last month or two, that, vicious dogs and stray dogs seem to me to be the biggest problem. And this ordinance, in my opinion, goes well beyond that. I know that, I appreciate the work that went into this. I appreciate that you guys worked with the experts to put this together, but I would like to, and I don't know, and they have to be willing to do it, but I would like to actually hear from the experts myself before we decide to get anywhere in votes and working sections of this and into their opinions on it, just because, again, for my area, this first kind of mentioned this about any dogs being at large, and just out in our area, public access to the Rivers families go there all the time, bring their family dog, run about, play with the families and kids. And, I don't know that we need to be in the business of just punishing and, people for going out with their activities and because they have a loose dog. I think we need to narrow this down. And I don't know how we go about doing that. I think that's the conversation. Depends how we do that. But we need to narrow this down to vicious and physically stray or unidentified dogs, in my opinion.
Now, we do have two people that have signed up to speak, giving us public comment. First person, Whitney Ashcraft. Ms. Ashcraft.
Okay, so I had a whole speech plan, but with the different things that happened, particularly Tricia adding stuff into the ordinances and stuff, I do have some things I want to change. I'm gonna go off topic, or not off topic, but off my speech I had planned. I am Whitney. I am founder of Southern Hearts Rescue. We deal with animals in the county. Just to put an image in your head for that, Saline County has like 720 square miles of land, okay? Benton city limits is like 18 square miles. Bryant is 20-something square miles. Alexander doesn't have a shelter. Shannon Hills doesn't have a shelter. Shannon Hills, Bauxite, all these other incorporated places, none of them have shelters. So it's me and other rescues like me that are dealing with the rest of that land, the rest of that space where these animals are at. We talk about the importance of the rabies and all that stuff. I say that's, y'all are wondering how that plays a factor in this. When somebody's bit, it is particularly in the county where a lot of these attacks happen. Because there is no laws out there, period. There's nobody regulating anything out there. So if they're a sick animal, they're spreading something. And it's rabies or distemper or parvo or any of the millions of other diseases that can not only just stick with animals, but they cross over. COVID, for example, that was an animal transfer. So those are important. That's why those are important. We're talking about hunting dogs running loose. Who has hunting dogs they spend that amount of money and training on? They're just running loose for have a good time. They're not. If you're training your hunting dog or you're using it to run deer or doing something, you know where your dog is. Because they have trackers on them. They know where those dogs are. So hunters shouldn't have any issues with this. We're not taking away the ability for you to use them to hunt. I want the professionals like Trisha Powers, like Ian Sanders, like the other people, big animal control that, and us as rescuers that deal with the animal problems. You guys don't come to a shelter or a rescue every day and see what that is like. We do. This is my whole life. My children, my daughter, in fact, is the same age, Michaela, and she lost her life trying to do what my daughter will eventually be doing for me. I'm going to vet school currently because I want to be more part of the solution than, I want to be as much a part of the solution as I possibly can be. And then she's next in. So there are things that we are trying to do, but we need your guys' help. We need you guys to understand. If you have these questions, seriously, come step into a rescue. Come see what it's like. Pay attention to what we're doing on a daily basis. Go to your shelters. Go mess with these animals and talk to these people who are working in it, volunteering in it, seeing it every single day. It is a lot. And she's right. There's animals out there that it needs to be up to them, whether they're euthanized or not, because there's a lot that comes into play. You can have a dog that's good with kids and people, but will kill and hurt another animal. Or it's the opposite. They don't want to do anything with kids, but they're great with other pets. So it should be up to us whether that animal gets adopted or not you guys. Because we have been doing this for a long time. I'm not good at speeches. I'm better working with animals, so excuse me, I'm nervous. I don't like this part of it. But the animals need us to come together and do something. And the laws, the ordinances you guys are starting to put in place, they matter way more than you think they do. And I love the direction they're going in. We need more of it. We do. We need more of it. And they need to be harsher. And when I say harsher, I mean harsher, because the people that are at fault for this, they don't care. You can find them, you can take their animal away and euthanize it in front of them. And they will go get another one from a Walmart parking lot. Or Billy Bob back here is going to breed them because he doesn't believe in spaying and neutering, and God forbid you take my dog's balls from him. So, sorry, but that's the truth. And that's what we get. Today alone, I had over 40 calls with people needing help with animals in Saline County. 40. We, as a nonprofit, deal with anywhere between 3,000 to 4,000 animals every year. Every year. I'm not kidding when I'm asking for your help. We want to solve this problem. We don't want any more kids to be killed. You're a dad. You have children. Me too, I have 5. I came home after Michaela was killed. I hugged her. Because she works with these same animals. Aggressive, happy, good dogs, bad dogs. Like they're out there. So y'all want a solution for this? It's 2 things that have to happen. It's laws and it's a shelter. And I'm not asking for millions of dollars, tons of money, anybody to give me anything but help. I started my shelter, which is a 1,200 square foot building, with $10,000. You're telling me you don't think that between all of us, we can't come up with something to start with? We can. We really can. And actually have a solution for the animals, the people, all of it at one time. That's it. That's all I got.
Yes, Jim.
Yes, I would like to, number one, thank you for all that you do for our community, and I respect it very much. And I agree with you on some points. And you know, as our county's grown, we've already talked about the massive growth of our county. We obviously can't deal with the animal issue the way that we always have because of the proximity of people now and animals. I know the county judge is working very closely with the shelter spaces that we have, the public shelters that we have, and I, for one, in the future, whenever we get money, we gotta have some money. More people moving in brings more money. So, but I would be in favor of the shelter. I know a lot of folks are, and a lot are not. I'm in the favor of that when we can. I mean, we can only do what we can do. I would say this, that if we pass this ordinance in its entirety, you haven't seen any animals yet. You will be inundated with thousands of animals a month. And so just passing a blanket law that, every dog that somebody sees out on the street gets taken in, it's just, that's gonna overwhelm, it will swamp every shelter in the county, including the public and the private ones. And we just don't have the facilities to deal with. Like I said, we have no way to enforce all of this. But to another point on the slippery slope of vaccinations, we don't, I personally don't like to deal with problems that we don't have. And we don't have a problem with rabies. And if you go down that slippery slope, then the next thing is that we have to give our dogs COVID vaccines. And, so it's just, as a dog owner myself, it just makes me short of breath to think about all the regulations in this ordinance. I agree with a lot of it, and I agree with a lot of what you said, but at the same time, it's not responsible to pass laws that we can't enforce. Thanks.
With a shelter that have ACOs, it would take away from you having to worry about your officers being overloaded with work, it was Jack Campbell that was doing it for the longest time out there trying to help people. I work with Jack often because he was county just like I was. He lives not far from me, and it's rough out there. So the rabies vaccine, I understand the overstepping and why we live in the county to begin with, because we want as little, overstepping into our area as possible. I hope that you understand that it's not so much an overstep when it comes to the rabies vaccine or anything you do yearly for an animal, but for everything around you. So because most animals that come into my shelter don't have any proof of anything, because people don't just drop them off and dump them with their puppies and everything in a paper that says this is my name and this is what I haven't had.
We have a problem, and yes, we have a dog problem, but the most important problem that we have with dogs is vicious dogs and irresponsible owners. And if we can start with really, and like I said, pun intended, giving law enforcement some teeth, some authority to go out and arrest these folks, to impound the dogs, and to, if necessary, euthanize the dogs. That is a huge step in the right direction, and that is something that I believe we can accomplish. But a lot of this has nothing to do with that.
So what do you see as being the best way to go about that? How do you think would work best? If we can't do it based on a collar that they have on that shows identification and shows a rabies vaccine, so we know that they're actually being cared for, what would you recommend?
Most of the incidents that have happened, if not all, with vicious animals, vicious dogs, have been dogs that were reported before,
Yes.
dogs that were already identified as being vicious, and yet we did not have the authority to euthanize that animal, did not have the authority to wage heavy fines and even jail time on those owners. And that's what I would like to see as step one, is to be able to control vicious animals and punish their owners.
I just want to say for the record, there's been some insinuation out there, not you, man, but there's been people state, you know, if we had passed this ordinance 5 years ago, this would not have kept that horrible tragedy from happening. It wouldn't have happened. Those dogs were inside of the pen. This does not address dogs inside of the pen. So I just want to put that on the record that this doesn't control every situation. It wouldn't prevent things like that from happening. And I want that on the record.
Thank you, Ms. Ashcraft.
Just had a question.
Yes, go ahead.
Reading through the ordinance that we got, page B3, see that section 3G has been completely removed. In my opinion, that alone is a public safety issue. Because imagine there's a dog in a truck that jumps out, any car or vehicle behind the truck may slam on their brakes and cause the person behind them to hit their brakes and cause an accident. So why was that even removed?
Can I talk on this?
Yes.
I think I kind of made a comment last month about this, and, you know, I may turn the issue a little further, but, you know, when you're in the county, you're commuting, it may not be 20 miles, you may be driving a mile, and to have to dictate whether you tie down a dog in the bed of your truck or in the back of a Jeep makes really no sense when if this ordinance itself dictates that a dog is large is a problem. If the dog's in a vehicle, it's not large. So,
But if it jumps out, it will be.
there you go, the ordinance would address that.
Well, it jumps to the different category.
Jim, you have some?
Yes, and just to speak to that is, again, I was in healthcare for almost 30 years in Saline County. Never knew of anybody injured or killed by a dog jumping out of a car. It's, again, a problem we don't have.
If you'd like me to speak to it, I will say, sorry. The idea was mainly to keep at-large dogs from happening or keeping that situation from happening. So if a dog was, in a loose bed and jumped out and was then at large, ideally if they're tied down, that wouldn't happen. So I did get with CJ and discussing that. Consider, we already have an at-large section in the ordinance. So if that dog were to jump out of the loose truck bed, it would be at large and it would be subject to being picked up by animal control at that time. So, in my opinion, it can go in there, it can come out, but it's already covered by another section of the ordinance.
We don't require helmets in the state of Arkansas to be worn when you're driving a motorcycle. And you know why that's the case? Because the legislature is full of a bunch of freedom-loving legislators and do not want to take freedom away from the citizens of Arkansas. So I think that's kind of what we're doing here. I don't want to take freedom away from Saline County residents, but also want to keep them safe and keep our focus on the vicious dog aspect of this. I don't think there's anything else on the agenda.
We have one more person that has signed up to speak, Mr. Kay.
2014, I stood before this court, I think Pat, you're the only one who was there, everybody else is new. No, you weren't sitting there, your dad was sitting there. 2014?
2012.
Yeah. We brought forward our Hot Springs Village Animal Control Ordinance. I have 3 points that I just want to make for, and I'm speaking on behalf of the Hot Springs Village Property Owners Association. which has the animal control side of the house. There's some type of distinction, we need to make a distinction that the Animal Welfare League, we provide money out of the funds if they're available, is the shelter side of the house. That is private, that's a 501c3. So the distinction right off the bat out there. As we worked our animal control ordinance in 2014, it was based on, first of all, it's consistent with the Garland County animal control ordinance that they put in place when they had a 3-year-old killed in 2013. Ours went in place in 2014 after we had the villager killed by a vicious dog. So we've had that put in place. If you go back, and that one is, I think, a little less restrictive of what J.P. Whitley was talking about. You start putting all these restrictions on it, you won't be able to regulate it. And that's what we found when we did that, and the village ordinance and Garland County found it. So it's a balancing act out there. So I would just say that we are already looking at it from our legal aspect. Whatever you pass, we're going back and we will be bringing a new ordinance for Hot Springs Village forward, because we want to stay kind of consistent between it out there, as well as talking to Garland County, because we're stuck in the middle. We have dual ordinances. We have one in each county. So I bring that up. If you get too much in there, it's going to be hard, because I know Garland County's probably not going to jump on that handle. And lastly, I would say that from the village and the animal control side and the POA, we are willing to start working with the county and developing some type of memorandum of understanding, memorandum of agreement to start providing what help we can available outside our gates. So, a certain distance outside our gates, we do have 2 full-time animal control officers, where they work between the counties, but just putting that out there too, that we're willing to sit down with you once you get something figured out and how we can help out. Thank you.
Keith, thank you. I had a question for you. In that area, do you, and you may not have an answer for this, but would one of those officers or both, how far do you think they would extend out? Maybe
Well, that's what we have. That's what we're kind of thinking.
That's a big problem.
That's a problem, how far they can go and their availability. But you're talking kind of Crows, type of Narrows Road, out in that type of area. The POA, the animal control folks, the general manager would negotiate kind of what's the limitations or how far they go. But we know that, and then it all runs on availability too. But we'll be helpful to the county, to our folks, and where we can. But again, when you talk about trying to regulate rabies and all the other stuff, we try to regulate microchipping, and we're doing it for free, or for reduced cost, and we still have a hard time with our population.
Thanks, you.
Anything else?
Mr. Chair, I did. May I?
Yes.
Let's start by saying that Benton, Bryan, Hot Springs Village have been extremely cooperative. Since I've spoken to you last time, Benton has come back and said once they open up, they intend on allowing 6 kennels. Last time I talked to you, it was 4. As you've heard, there's still spirit of cooperation from Bryan for a backup in Hot Springs Village. Also, I've spoken with Mr. Unger and Mr. Sexton, both at Hot Springs Village, along with Mr. Keck. As far as rabies is concerned, that's state law. Your dogs are to be vaccinated and your cats are to be vaccinated. There's a statute out there and it's against the law not to have your dogs vaccinated for rabies or your cats. To the thought of that we don't have a problem with rabies, in my house we don't, because my dogs are vaccinated and I'm fairly clean myself. Now, as far as the dogs that jumped off the porch and attacked an 11-year-old girl and her mother, they were not vaccinated reportedly, and I think it was proven. And so I believe that is a rabies problem. Now, we can strike it from the ordinance. It still remains state law, and the county would not be able to receive those fines if the dog was found to be unvaccinated for rabies. Collars versus chips. If you see a dog without a collar on, we also allow for chips, even if they're in their fence and somebody thinks that that dog gets out all the time without a collar. That we have proposed, if an ordinance goes forward, with the sheriff's office to have chip readers in all of the vehicles so that we may be able to identify that. I very much appreciate Justice Curtis for bringing up the fact that if this ordinance were passed 5 years ago, entering private property and a fence is not covered in this, that tragedy would be that tragedy today. That there's nothing in here that says that we will inventory the number of dogs in which you own or have inside of your fence. Now, if those dogs leave, and I think it's subjective of what vicious is. I think you can talk to somebody and say, that chihuahua was vicious. I think you can also talk to somebody who is yet to be bitten, certainly not a grade of 3+, but has yet to be bitten, but they're having to kick dogs on their property, which I get videos of on the regular, along with pictures of deceased animals, of people, deceased pets of people, but they didn't see it in action, yet we are unable at that point in time to take. Now, they see the dogs, they didn't see them kill the animal, and so they can't say for certain that that's what happened. Hunting dogs, I'm glad that was brought up. I talk to people in the hunting community, and I think like all of us, not everybody's gonna agree all the time. But I think it was said earlier, those are expensive, well-trained dogs that this ordinance speaks to being under the control and following commands. But I don't hear about hunting dogs. I don't. Where I do hear about hunting dogs is, hey, I lost a hunting dog and I was glad that Ben or Brian or somebody found my dog and was able to get it back to me because of his collar and or chip. I had an owner come in today with 2 dogs. Vicky, about 9:30 probably. And this man was extremely distraught. When he got those dogs, he claims to be good dogs. His area looked much different. There weren't subdivisions in that area, there wasn't development going on, and the dogs were able to run free and not bother anybody. Now there's been a business built across the street, there's a subdivision and a bus stop in that area, and he is scared because of his advanced age and the size of the dogs that he considers good and not vicious. But when they see somebody else, they have to kick them away, and they're scared. And I agree that we should be a county, a country, a state that's full of freedom, including being able to walk to your bus stop without being scared to be attacked. So I think there is measure in this, and I think if we're looking for the perfect ordinance for 13 or 134,000 to agree upon, man, we might as well put this thing down. But if we can advance ourselves to just be better, I think that there's room for that in advancing an ordinance. We are willing to do whatever we can, but my executive powers are just that. It's got to have a sponsor. It's got to be heard again in committee. Then it may go to quorum court. If I say, y'all know, that's your power. I'm not so. We are willing to do whatever. I think that it's real, and I think that the maze. I don't want the maze to be lost in this. That Justice Whitley, respectfully to your comment about there will be thousands come in. We will be diligent, I believe, in operations to find out what our capacity is. And unfortunately, there's going to be days where we got no place to look. We run into that with people today in this county, and I won't go down that rabbit hole right now, but that's the fact. The last thing I really want to say, that this probably concerns me more than anything, that there's been talk that I've heard just recently that all we do with our voluntary tax is feed it to ladies like this, or ladies like this, or their organizations, specifically, or Hot Springs Village Humane Society, specifically Saline Humane Society, Hot Springs Village Humane Society, and other rescue units, that some of the citizens feel like our money goes there. On my first year as judge, I believe I put you all on notice that if we don't get more money, you're not going to get any money. The second year, we paid you less than what we agreed because it just wasn't there. And then this year, we paid you nothing. But you continue to do what you do, and I'm appreciative of it. And ma'am, I'm appreciative to what you do in serving our county. That's what I'm trying to make clear. Nobody in the rescue or humane society receives any dollars that came through the voluntary tax starting as of 2025, and less in 2024. So I just wanted to say those few things and thank the people that have worked. We'll continue to do whatever it is that we're called upon to do, but I think that we're at a point where we need to be called upon to do something. Any questions? Thank you.
That takes care of everything on our agenda. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All right, have a motion and a second. Okay, motion and second. We are adjourned.
I'm gonna call the finance meeting to order. First on our agenda is approval of minutes. I entertain a motion to approve.
Move to approve.
Motion by second by Carlton. Any discussion on the minutes? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Exhibit B is ordinance, dealing with the bilingual interpretation and compensation. I entertain a motion to approve. Got a motion approved by Mrs. Carlton, second by CJ. Just Whitley, would you like to comment on this at all, since this went through your committee?
Sure, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Basically, this compensation package, it will remain the same, $1 an hour for those qualified interpreters that have been deemed to be qualified by our new testing. And the testing is actually quite amazing, and it's very, very affordable. I don't have the numbers right in front of me, but it is, we only test by interpreter. There is no annual fee to participate in this technology. It is an amazing AI technology to where no matter what language, I think it's every language, known language in the world that's covered, that it mainly here we use Spanish. That's what we qualify interpretation for, but there are counties in Arkansas that, for different reasons, need different interpreters. So, but we have that available if we were to ever need another language other than Spanish. We can test any language, and basically, what happens is the candidate for the pay raise would go into our HR office and basically have a conversation, online conversation with an online AI avatar. And the avatar grades the individual's fluency on a scale of how fluent they are. And the HR committee agreed that I forget exactly, but they have to be deemed able to, what's the word? Proficient. They have to have a fairly good proficiency to pass the test and to receive the test. And so, but it's amazing technology, very, very affordable. I think it's $100. Don't quote me, but it's either $100 or $150 per candidate for the test, and there's no annual fee beyond that.
It does depend on what language. It's not just that you speak another language. It has to be one that's in that job.
Yes.
Like if you speak fluent Latin, that's probably not going to be needed.
Yeah. No, some might, but no, that could be okay. No, it's only, this is only by request of the elected official. And it doesn't matter if you speak fluent, a language that we need like Spanish. If it's not requested by the elected official, if it's not deemed to be necessary for smooth operation of their department, then it's not considered part of it.
Any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Last thing on our agenda is appropriation ordinance, cleaning up the 2026 budget ordinance. Your motion to approve.
Second.
CJ, second by Jim. Any questions about this ordinance? Any of the articles? Questions? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Not having anybody signed up for public comment. Any announcements by the committee? That concludes our agenda. Here, motion to adjourn. Motion to adjourn by Jim, second by CJ.